People, I believe, are good. People are good per se. They want to do good things. However, sometimes it's not easy to do good things. Sometimes you want to, I don't know, you want to plant a tree, but where, how, with who, how are you going to do it? And like this, like so many other initiatives, so many other things that you might want to do, and it's difficult. So what we want to do is to make it super easy. We don't want any excuses from businesses. You know, if you want to do good, tell us how and we will help you.
Marc Cirera, thank you so much for joining me on 20-Minute Leaders. How are you?
I'm very good, thank you.
It's still COVID-19. We have the distance. We're here in a beautiful Paramount Hotel in Dubai. And Marc, you're an entrepreneur, but you're originally from Barcelona, but here you are in Dubai. And I can't wait to talk to you a little bit about doing good for the world and helping companies do good. So tell me a little bit about yourself and what are you doing here in Dubai?
Sure. So, well, I started doing business. And then at some point I realized that I needed something a bit more meaningful in my life. I wanted to make a larger impact than just making money for the sake of it. And so at that point, I went to Australia to do a master's in business ethics. And that really kind of motivated me to get into this sector of sustainability, CSR, business ethics, to help businesses make money while doing good.
Right. So, but you're originally not from Dubai. You're still from Barcelona. You spent some time in Australia. What brought you to Dubai?
Correct. Love brought me here. So before coming here, I was in London. I was working there as a CSR consultant. Then I quit my job. I left the city. I just was looking for new experiences. And I went to South America to travel. And while there, I met the love of my life, she was working here at the time. And I just followed her here, and here I am now.
Beautiful, and you're raising a family here. Marc, you're an entrepreneur. You're a different kind of entrepreneur because your focus is not just on taking a business and growing it exponentially, you know, the regular hockey stick, but your focus is on doing things that do good for the environment and do good for the world while helping other companies do that. Tell me a little bit about why you're even in this doing good space.
Yes, so normally I don't call myself an entrepreneur. I call myself a social entrepreneur.
Right.
Because for me, just starting a business without having this element of giving back to society, it was not really like meaningful. So whenever I thought about creating something, it was always with this purpose-driven kind of goal. And so I created Companies for Good, which is a social enterprise, and we help businesses do good. And as you were saying, it's not the typical, I would say, startup in the sense that we're not really looking at growing fast and raising funds and making it huge. We're just looking at doing things well and enjoying the journey as well, which I think is super important. I've seen lots of entrepreneurs suffer a lot while creating their startups, and I'm sure you are a witness of having talked with so many people of how tough the journey can be, right? And how people sometimes are always looking for funds, or they are like struggling to make things happen.
Right.
And so for me, that was something very important. I set 3 big objectives when setting up Companies for Good. One was to make it profitable, to make money. One was to make a positive impact on society and the planet. And the third one was to have a good life while doing it, good work-life balance. So these were the 3 kind of elements of the startup.
Right. I think that's a very interesting trend that we see today, unlike a lot of different timelines in the world, that now we have social entrepreneurs that are realizing that it's not just about, you know, doing nonprofit work and just volunteering their time, but you have to make it also profitable business. You have to make a positive social contribution to the world while also having a profitable startup that can actually, you know, generate revenue and keep sustaining. Because if you want to make an impact, and I remember I read a quote one day that really transformed me. You know, if you make an impact on 1 billion people, you will also make $1 billion. They go hand in hand. It's not just about doing good, but it has to be a two-way street. Because it also, you have to have a good team that is working on it. You have to attract the best talent to work for this. And so I think that's very inspiring. Marc, before we go into Companies for Good more, I'd love for you to tell me a little bit about your experience here in Dubai. What have you observed in the ecosystem? You've worked with different companies. You've seen different VCs and incubators. What is happening here in Dubai?
There are lots of things happening. I've seen the startup scene change a lot in the past 5 years. There are so many accelerator programs, incubators, and generally like the ecosystem is growing a lot. I think it's an amazing place to start up anything, any project, any business. It's a place full of opportunities here. And so, and it's fairly easy as well in terms of bureaucracy, admin. It's fairly easy to set up your business and start operating and start invoicing and start working within almost hours sometimes.
That's pretty crazy because you've had also different experiences with bureaucracy and you've observed different countries and how they operate. So how is that different?
Yes, it's absolutely different. So before having Companies for Good here, I had a business back home, which is Barcelona. And over there, the bureaucracy is a nightmare. It's like it's so complicated to set up a business. It's so costly. Even before you start operating, you already need to pay lots of taxes and you need to pay fees, and it takes days, if not months, to be able to start working and start doing something. And that's really not good for the entrepreneurs kind of ecosystem, right? We are young people, or not so young, but with lots of ideas. We want to make things happen, and if the institutions keep putting all these barriers, then they're just making things way more difficult.
Right. So tell me a little bit about what's happening with the world, and you're coming in and saying, we have all these great organizations that are looking to have these bonding group experiences, but while also making a positive impact on the world. What is happening to the world where companies are having this shift where they're looking to have these impactful projects that you've observed which triggered your doing Companies for Good?
Yeah, I think two things are happening. One is that people are more aware nowadays about things that are not really going as we would like to in the world, in terms of like climate change, right? It's on the agenda of all governments, everybody's talking about it. In terms of social inequalities, diversity and inclusion, there are so many things that perhaps in the 70s, 80s, businesses could just carry on and people were looking the other way, but now it's not happening anymore. Everybody's way more accountable. And businesses also are more like aware, and they need to do more things. The other one is that people, I believe, are good. People are good per se. They want to do good things. However, sometimes it's not easy to do good things. Sometimes you want to, I don't know, you want to plant a tree, but where, how, with who, how are you gonna do it? And like this, like so many other initiatives, so many other things that you might want to do, and it's difficult. So what we want to do is to make it super easy. We don't want any excuses from businesses. If you want to do good, tell us how and we will help you. So that's why we're seeing that people really, and when I mean people, I mean companies are made by people. So when I talk about companies, I always think about the people making up those companies. Right. Because I think it happens a lot that people talk about, oh, Microsoft is this and that, or I don't know, that other company, or Coca-Cola, or this. Sorry, I'm dropping names here, but these are worldwide. And who are these brands? Like, I mean, they're just legal names, and behind those names, there are lots of people, and lots of different people who care about different things, who have families, who live within the planet. And so it's those people that we're talking to when we are offering our support to them, in the sense of, how do you want to make a positive contribution with your colleagues in this case? Do you guys want to do something for the refugee community? Do you want to do something for those who are suffering cancer? Do you want to support children? Do you want to protect the environment? So we know that people care about those things, and we just give them the opportunity to do something about it.
So what it sounds to me is that you've identified a gap between a desire that people want. So like in economics, you have like the supply and demand. There's a lot of demand. There's not really supply because people might know that they want to do certain things, but they have no idea as to how they're going to go do it. How do I plant a tree? How do I help families that are in need, right? And so you're creating this platform where you're helping bridge that gap and saying, you want to do good, I know how to do the good, and I can just help you leverage your human capital and financial capital to go and do that. Give me a broad spectrum of what types of activities do you actually do, and how do you go about taking companies and make them happen?
So in terms of activities, we have many different ones. We categorize them between doing good for the environment or doing good for the communities. For the environment, we do beach cleanups, we do tree plantings, we do forest reforestations, we do underwater cleanup with divers on the ocean.
Wow.
We do cleanups on the desert. So we do many different actions that are about keeping our planet clean and trying to keep the air as healthy and possible in terms of like offsetting CO2 emissions. Then for the communities, we have activities to support children, to support people of determination, which are like people with special needs. Here we call them people of determination. And we take groups of employees to go to a center where there are like children with special needs, and they teach them, they play with them, they read books to them, etc. We have activities to support refugees, people that are suffering from cancer. So many different like initiatives that you can do something with your colleagues, and that has a positive impact on that certain community that might need it.
Right. So what's been the most both easiest and hardest part of this journey? Because I imagine that every company that you work with, it's a different challenge, it's a different flow. But over you mentioned that you're doing hundreds of projects. What's the pattern of the easiest and the hardest things that you've had to overcome?
The easiest is to make people happy. People love doing these things, and I cannot repeat it enough times. When we start one of our activities, everybody arrives there a bit like, not grumpy, but their level of energy is not that high. For instance, let's imagine a beach cleanup, right?
Yeah.
We say to a company, their group of employees that are coming, like, we meet at 9 a.m. and we will start. They arrive at 9 a.m. a little sleepy, like, often they don't know their colleagues or they don't know them much, because in the office, the kind of relationships you establish with people might be different from outside the office, right? Over in the office, there are lots of hierarchies, or your day-to-day work, wherever that is. So people don't talk much among themselves. They're not really like laughing, not really engaged. Time keeps passing, they keep doing things together, and then by 11, 12, when they finish the activity, there's such a hype there. The level of energy is huge. People are laughing, they're talking among each other much more. And we ask them afterwards, like, have you met anyone new? Yeah, we met lots of colleagues I didn't know. And they love doing a cleanup. For some people, only the idea of picking up trash might be a bit like, I don't know, there are people who work on that. Why do I need to go and clean up? But once you're there and you see the real impact you're making on nature, something happens, something quite magic, that it lifts you up. They call it the giver's glow as well. So it's a bit like, I don't know, you feel fulfilled, you feel happy, you feel you've done something good. And we see that all the time with the groups that we're taking to do these kind of activities, that they end up super excited. They end up obviously much more aware of the situation, whether it's environment or the community. But it's that feeling that people have that, wow, we done something good, we done it together, and that's exciting. That's really good.
Now moving a little bit more to the to the business side of things, because that's always something that I'm very curious about. How do you get companies to know who you are and to understand the value of companies for good? Because it's not every day that a company wakes up and says, maybe I should take my team to a beach cleanup today. Oh, and by the way, there's this Marc from Companies for Good. So how does this whole cycle work?
You would be surprised that there are many people that wake up one day and say, oh, I want to do something with my team. There are lots of them. And we're not talking about like the CEO or the vice president of a company. We're talking about a team leader. You could be the head of HR and you have a team of 7 people under you, or the head of finance, and these people, it's not their area of expertise, right, to organize activities. They have other kind of day-to-day jobs to do. And normally they want to do something a bit original, something a bit meaningful. And perhaps they heard about the escape rooms, go-karting, or some similar activities. They want to do something like a bit more impactful, and they don't know. They don't know what to do or what they could do. And so when they find us, they're really excited. We had, I think, a very rare position in the market since the beginning, which I think we're very blessed about, which is the clients are happy when they found us. We haven't done any like outreach, any sales. We've done like some marketing, and we tried, to position ourselves in Google, in the rankings. It's not that we've been just sitting and people like came. We worked.
One of actually things, sorry for the digression.
Yeah,
one of the
okay.
really interesting things that you mentioned was that this is a pretty niche market. People don't often search for a beach cleanup or
Exactly,
planting trees on
absolutely.
Google, and that's one of the ways you've reached your client base, right?
That's helped us a lot. We are in a niche market, and so we've done a little bit of search engine optimization on our website, and a little bit of link building and writing blogs, etc. So when people wanted to find us, it would be easier. And so in Google we rank quite well because of that, because it's fairly niche and we've done an effort. But also, like, we're working with lots of businesses that come to us because of word of mouth. So they ask around, like, oh, what can we do to do an activity that gives back to society or that helps the environment? And then after having a couple of conversations, they're like, oh, you should contact Companies for Good. They organize these kind of things. Right. But as I was saying, like, since the beginning, I was shocked when the phone would ring and it would be, I don't know, I work for DHL, I work for Kellogg's, I work for HSBC, I work for Amazon. I'm like, okay, and so how can I help you? Oh, we heard you do, I don't know, tree planting, do this kind of activity. Like, yeah, we can help. Oh, yeah, please, that would be amazing because I've been looking for it. I was like, okay, sure. How, oh, can we do it next week? Yeah, sure. This is the price. Okay, fine. So it's been surprisingly, I wouldn't say easy, because easy is undermining word, because we worked hard for it, but it's been a pleasant journey, let's put it this way.
That's incredible. What's next? What's the vision for Companies for Good?
Well, that's a very good question. What we have done a lot this year is go digital.
Yeah.
Like everyone else, right? It's no news. But all our activities were physical team activities with teams. Corona came and we had to cancel every single activity. In Feb, we did, I don't know, about 20 activities.
Wow.
We had more than 20 booked for March. It was our best month ever. We were like growing a lot. It was amazing. Everything was like fantastic. And then boom. So from one week to another, everything got canceled. And we were like, okay, is this gonna last like 1 month or like 1 year or 10 years? Who knows? But we quickly reinvented ourselves, and while the situation was, tough in terms of physical team activities, we started to create online things. And so now we have a very cool team building activity called the Climate Change Challenge. And this is like hundreds of people can play online. Normally they do it like in teams of a company, and it's a group of eco heroes. They travel around the world and they go to different continents, discovering what is the climate change issue that is affecting the most in that area. They need to overcome different challenges and games, and they keep moving on, like some kind of competing among teams, but learning at the same time and having some fun. And that's been kind of a positive thing from this
Sure.
challenging year. And I think in terms of the vision, that's where we want to go more. Because physical team activities are fantastic and it creates this kind of hype, but it's a bit more limited in terms of where you can do it. And we also have many businesses that are international, right? And so they have an office here, but they also have an office in Oman, another one in Saudi, another
Sure.
one in Qatar or elsewhere. And often they want to do activities among their teams to bring them together, but cross-border. And how can you do that? Online, right?
Right. So what are some nuggets of advice you could provide for some young social entrepreneurs that are on their journey? Obviously, it's a very different type of journey than the average entrepreneur that is just trying to raise money for a startup that is on a hockey stick trajectory. What should young entrepreneurs need to know as they're embarking on this social adventure?
I think two things are very, very important. And one is offer to your customers what they might want or need, not what you like or what you think they might need. Like I've seen so many, both normal entrepreneurs or social entrepreneurs. I don't know why I'm calling them normal, but whatever, like non-social entrepreneurs and social entrepreneurs, that they're so passionate about their idea and what they want to do that they have missed on checking with their customers, their clients,
Right.
if that's what they want or how they want it. And they spend a year working on that product or service, hidden, in a room or something, investing a lot of money, even like spending a lot of time thinking about the name or the logo. And then once they go out there after a year, obviously they have no money and almost no energy because
Right.
they're working so hard. And then often they find that the customers want something else, or that they want it differently, and so it's a very, very kind of clashing situation. Whereas I always tell people, you know, whenever you have a little tiny thing, go out there, start operating, start learning, and that worked for me very well, because when I started Companies for Good, I went out there without having a business license, without, like, the website, it was made by me, and I have no idea how to make websites, one of these like pre-made things. The logo was made by a friend, and it was a disaster logo. So I mean, but so what? And we started learning, and we started already engaging with customers. Some customers liked some of the ideas, and they already like started doing activities which helped us finance our next steps, and so on. So it's been I think a growth journey and a smooth journey because of this kind of action-driven attitude of let's get out there and let's start working, and then we will be polishing and improving things as we go.
Wow.
So that's definitely one piece of advice. And the other one is obviously like believe in what you do, be passionate about it, because there are so many bumps on the journey, so many difficulties that unless you like what you're doing and you believe in it, it's you're not going to enjoy it. And what's the point of setting up a business if you don't enjoy it?
Right, 100%. Marc, I want to thank you for being so gracious with your time. You know, this is one of few that we managed to do in person, and I'm happy that we're able to do this in social distancing context here in Dubai. But before we leave, I have to put you on the spot for one last question,
okay,
which is 3 words that you would use to describe yourself, or your wife would use to describe you, or any of the companies that you got to work with.
Wow, 3 words. Maybe I would say action-driven person.
Action-driven person.
Yeah, I make things happen.
I love that. Marc, thank you very, very much. Stay safe, stay healthy, and continue doing good for the world, literally, and helping a lot of other companies do it. And I'm sure, by the way, that it's not just limited to that event when they come and work with you, but it's a ripple effect, right? And they take it then to their home, to their colleagues, they tell their families, and it's creating, you know, a butterfly effect where, you know, it's the network effect is exponential. And
that's
for every
the idea.
team that you work, it just ricochets. So thank you very, very much.
Thank you so much.
Take care.